all of us, Gist Support UK, we are either patients or relatives of patients who are affected by gist cancer. And basically the whole reason that we've come into existence is to offer support to others from the knowledge that we've gained, and hopefully raise awareness and endeavour to encourage people out there who have the skills to research and look for improved treatments and ultimately a cure for this rare cancer. In terms of the current state of play with the services that we offer, I'm assuming that some of you will have made your first contact with us possibly through our helpline, and that's there manned by patients who have first-hand experience of the disease and hopefully can offer some kind of information to patients that makes them feel not so alone. I know it was the first port of call I made with Gist Support UK, and it was the first ray of hope because there was somebody who was alive and kicking and still in existence many years after having first been diagnosed with GIST. So that gave me a feeling that all was not lost. In terms of meetings, obviously you're at one of these meetings now, but we try to do this, A, to inform, but also to allow you to meet other people who have the same diagnosis, because only you can know how that feels, and perhaps you can share and benefit from contact with each other. In addition to that, we have a thing called the listserv, which is like a private email forum. Not everybody likes to be on the listserv, but quite a few find it helpful because, you know, it's late at night, you can't get hold of a doctor, you don't want to worry somebody about what might not seem to them an emergency, but to you is. You can post on there, and almost certainly somebody will have experienced something similar and will have some useful advice or comments to make. Likewise, we have Facebook and Twitter communities for those that prefer to use that medium to make contact with each other. We endeavour to put together information which we hope will be helpful. I mean, sorry, our book, Just for Beginners, was really started by the fact that we all wish something like that had been available when our loved one was diagnosed. We've actually got some things outside which is about side effects, so at some point in the day I'm sure somebody will tell you more about that, but we would like to put together some more structured materials about side effects and side effect management, so you as individuals who may have experienced side effects can actually have a major contribution to a future publication that we're hoping to put together. And paws-gist. Paws-gist basically is for those patients who are diagnosed with the wild-type form of GIST, and also those young people that are diagnosed with GIST, similar to my daughter. And it's the whole focus of that group is to pull information together and work to get research going and improve treatments and cure. So overall, the whole purpose of us being around is to raise awareness, offer support, and represent GIST patient interests when it's necessary. So, for example, last year we spent an awful lot of time and effort in trying to make sure that regorafenib stayed on the Cancer Drugs Fund for GIST patients, and we were successful in that ambition. It's actually going to be reviewed in the next, probably the next 12 months by NICE, and we're at the start of the process now to hopefully make sure that it is available through NICE, but obviously we won't know until we've been through the process. So creating an infrastructure that's going to support research into GIST is what we're all about as well. We have a support angle, and we have this thing that's looking forward to say, is everything that's needed to encourage people to think about GIST and working to try and improve matters for GIST patients. That's what we're there to try and stimulate. Obviously, Nick has mentioned working closely with pharmaceutical industry. Yes, their involvement and support is absolutely vital. And we try to keep abreast of all the developments that might be out there, seeking all the time to find anybody that might be doing something which could benefit us and our patient group. And fundraising, obviously, that's become even more important, because if we are to offer funding for research to those people out there, then we have to have the funds with which to do that. So that's become very active. In terms of how we are at the moment, obviously we've got the top band of people who, most of them are here. Alex isn't, but on the end. But those are our trustees, all with very important roles to play. Obviously, David's organises all our meetings, ably assisted by Sharon, who does all the event management. Lena is our treasurer. Sheena is our secretary. Michael's our expert online at probably addressing most medical issues and questions that people have. Karen and Tori each jointly take responsibility for our fundraising. And Judith's our lifetime president, having obviously been instrumental in setting up Just Support UK in the first place. And we have two ladies who help with our social media, because we can't be expert in every single thing. It's impossible. So they're very good at helping. And David, Judith's husband, has been our IT person, but he's keen to relinquish that responsibility. So if any of you are real, specialists on IT, do step forward. Okay. So this year we've had, if I've got it right, patient meeting in Nottingham. We've got this meeting now, and in December we'll have a patient meeting in Edinburgh. And I understand we had our first Edinburgh meeting last year, and we weren't sure how many patients would arrive, and I think we had just over 20, but I gather we're going to get more than double that coming to this next meeting, already registered. So that's something very positive in terms of what we are doing up there. The other thing that helps to raise awareness, there's a whole, there are 900 patients diagnosed with GIST in England every year. We don't get 900 patients contacting us for support, and one assumes there are a lot of those patients who, they have an operation, and fortunately they don't have a GIST anymore. But for those patients who are out there and perhaps don't instantly get to find us, we try to make ourselves as evident as possible on the internet, but not everybody uses the internet. We're trying to get to a situation where any hospital that might be diagnosing and treating a GIST patient has access to literature like GIST for Beginners, and has information about how to contact a helpline where they can talk to a GIST patient who's got experience of all sorts of treatments and surgeries, etc. So the way we're doing this is by obviously inviting people who might be going regularly for checkups to ask just would they be willing to take some of our literature to their hospital when they go, so that the specialist nurses there or the Macmillan booklet stand that holds this sort of information can keep a supply of it. And so what we've done recently is try to identify places where we know GIST patients are treated that we don't currently have anybody able to help us in that way. So Tori has put together this map, and the red dots kind of indicate where we need some assistance. So if having a few of these in your bag and dropping them off when you go for your appointment is something you might be able to help with, do let us know. Sheena is the lady that coordinates all of that. Oop, somebody's trying to come in. Obviously, I mentioned that we are fundraising and want to be in a position where we can encourage more research into GIST. Our very first sort of foray into this area happened a few years ago, where we were able to give Professor Judson and his team £20,000, basically to get a data set of information about patients. And as a result of that work, I think the team have pulled together something like 550 GIST patient data with their mutational analysis, and it's actually going to form the basis of another research project, basically looking at the incidence and prevalence of GIST, different subtypes. It's only by looking at this sort of information that you can identify patterns and hopefully lead to some answers on things. Obviously, paws-gist is a research project in its own right. We're trying to pull patients together. This year we've had one clinic so far. We're going to have another clinic in December. So far from all of our clinics, that's 7 so far, we've had in excess of 45 patients. We've had 1 or 2 that have come back again, so it's been a couple of times. And we're just about, as an organisation, to offer research funding for 3 projects that are very specifically for Paul's wild-type gist. Yet again, the tissue bank, we're going to have a speaker talk more about the tissue bank, etc. But we're at the final stages of transferring that to the Royal Marsden. Seems like I've been saying that forever now, but it will happen. It's just that when the suits get involved, things slow down quite a lot. As I mentioned earlier, we're just at the process of responding to an initial inquiry from NICE about regorafenib and whether it should be used in GIST, etc. So that's something we'll move on with. We've represented, obviously, GIST patients at a variety of different meetings that go on both in the UK and abroad. The British Sarcoma Group, obviously, is a very important part of the medical profession focusing on sarcomas, including GIST. Michael is a trustee not only of GIST Support UK, but also of Sarcoma Patients Euronet. So that's our mechanism for engaging with other GIST patient groups in Europe. And that's such an enormous help, because if they have research projects going on, then that's how we get to know the most up-to-date information about them, through that network. I won't go into detail on each one of them, but if you had any questions about any of them, please do ask. And obviously, we've had some fantastic fundraising support this year. This picture here, this is Alex. He's one of our newest trustees. This is the 2nd year he's done this now, but he takes a team and they cycle, 5,000 kilometres down to the south of France. So I think they've raised about £5,500 this year doing that, and done themselves in probably as well. Then obviously we have a lady here called Kaylee Stent. She was supposed to be here today. She was diagnosed earlier this year with paws-gist. Her and her family have gone into, fundraising mode, and they are doing some great things up in the Peterborough and Ipswich area. Raised lots of money for us, thank goodness. We've been adopted by One Stop Shop up in Bridlington as their charity partner. So anyone who goes into that shop is going to be putting money in a box for us. We've got another patient, a GIST patient called Lee Brown. He's in our midst, and we can get him to tell you more about what he's doing later. But he's been doing a whole raft of different events. I think this was a wrestling event to raise money for wrestling challenge, but I think there's a whole range of different things he's doing. This is one patient's husband, who him and his 4 brothers all did some cycle rides up around the north. And we had a team in the Prudential Ride London event this year. These aren't all of them. This is just a few. I mean, there are so many, and we're very, very grateful for all those people that are organising things to help. So the whole point of it is to improve the future for GIST patients, secure the future of the tissue bank, make sure we have the funds to keep funding that when it becomes live in the Royal Marsden, to offer research and seed funding so that people are encouraged to think about doing some work that is important for GIST, and to raise awareness and improve education. So if you know anyone that might be able to help us in your network, do let us know. Next one. Thank you very much.